Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a true hidden marvel of human biology. We're talking about a microscopic layer of cells that works tirelessly day and night just to keep us from going blind. Yep, we are looking at the eye's unsung hero, the retinal pigment epithelium. If you've ever wondered how you're able to clearly see the world around you right this very second, well, the answer starts with this tiny, microscopic powerhouse. So consider a really fascinating biological paradox for a moment. What is the single most underappreciated tissue in the human body? I mean, think about it. Your entire reliance on vision, whether you're reading a book, recognizing a friend's face across the room, or watching this explainer, it all hinges completely on a microscopic layer of cells most people don't even know exists. Seriously, without it, our eyes just wouldn't work at all. All right, let's formally define what we're looking at here. The retinal pigment epithelium, or RPE for short, is this single monolayer of highly organized hexagonal cells. It acts as a literal bridge between your neurosensory retina, which houses all those light-detecting photoreceptors, and the choroid, which is the rich vascular blood supply of the eye. And make no mistake, this unassuming little layer is absolutely essential. Without a healthy RPE, those vital photoreceptors that capture light would literally just die off. No RPE, no vision. And this brilliantly illustrates the remarkable structural polarity of the RPE. It's basically a two-way street. Notice how distinct the apical surface is. That's the side facing the photoreceptors. It has these tiny finger-like projections called microvilli that reach up and physically surround the light-sensing outer segments of your rods and cones. Then, on the flip side, the basal surface rests on Bruch's membrane, directly facing the blood supply. Because of this totally unique two-phase structure, the RPE can act as both an incredibly secure border wall and a highly efficient vital bridge for nutrient exchange. Because it sits right at this critical biological junction, the RPE has to be a total master of many traits. Honestly, think of this single layer of cells as a bustling, microscopic city. It's pulling off the Herculean daily tasks of a high-security border patrol, a massive sanitation department, and a 24/7 cafeteria, all rolled into one single tissue. It's pretty mind-blowing. Let's break down exactly how it manages this crazy multitasking. So, the RPE boasts 5 distinct superpowers. First up, light absorption. You see, the pigment in retinal pigment epithelium actually comes from huge quantities of melanin granules densely packed right inside the cells. Think of these melanin granules like a pair of high-end polarized sunglasses painted onto the inside of your eye. They absorb scattered light and drastically reduce internal reflections. Without this built-in light trap, your visual contrast would be absolutely terrible, and everything would just look totally washed out. The RPE directly upgrades our image quality. Which brings us to its second crucial role: maintaining the outer blood-retinal barrier. Remember that border patrol analogy we used? Adjacent RPE cells are stitched together incredibly tightly by these molecular complexes known as tight junctions. So, the crucial point is that these junctions form a strict high-security checkpoint. They meticulously regulate the movement of water, ions, and proteins between the blood supply and the retina. If this barrier breaks down, fluid leaks right in, causing swelling or edema, which severely disrupts your vision. Now, this barrier function works hand in hand with superpower number 3, acting as an active fluid pump. The retina is a super busy place, continually producing fluid and metabolic byproducts. The RPE utilizes active transport to constantly pump that fluid out from the subretinal space, pushing it toward the choroidal blood supply. And what's really amazing here is that the suction created by this active pumping mechanism literally keeps your neurosensory retina physically attached to the underlying RPE. It creates a literal vacuum seal that holds the delicate layers of your eye together. Beyond just managing fluid, the RPE is deeply, deeply involved in the visual cycle itself. When light hits your eye, the visual pigments in your photoreceptors absorb that photon and undergo a sudden chemical change. They basically get bleached. Now, if they stayed bleached, you'd go blind after the very first flash of light. But the RPE chemically interacts with the photoreceptors to actively regenerate these visual pigment components, like rhodopsin, sending them right back so the photoreceptor can fire again. It's the ultimate battery charger, ensuring we maintain continuous sensitivity to light. Rounding out these daily tasks is superpower 5, its role as a metabolic cafeteria. You might not know this, but photoreceptors are among the most metabolically active cells in the entire human body. They are incredibly energy hungry. So the RPE tirelessly works to selectively transport vital nutrients and deliver massive amounts of glucose from the blood supply directly up to those photoreceptors.
It constantly feeds them, so they can survive and continue processing the beautifully complex visual world around us.
But out of all its capabilities, there's one that truly stands out above the rest. Just listen to this. The RPE performs an essential housekeeping role, representing one of the highest rates of phagocytic activity found anywhere in the body. This introduces us to the most dramatic, heavy-lifting job of the RPE, its relentless daily function as the ultimate cellular recycling plant. Okay, let's dive into this mechanism of phagocytosis, which is just a fancy word for the relentless daily task of engulfing and clearing cellular waste. Because photoreceptors are constantly bombarded by light and oxidative stress, their outer tips essentially get worn out. Every single day, they shed enormous numbers of these old, damaged discs. The RPE steps in through a highly orchestrated 5-stage process. It recognizes the shed material, binds to it using those apical microvilli we saw earlier, internalizes it, digests it using powerful lysosomal enzymes, and finally, recycles the useful molecular components back to the retina. If the RPE didn't execute this daily grind flawlessly, toxic cellular debris would build up fast, and the photoreceptors would quickly fail.
But every hero has an antagonist, right? And for the RPE, that villain is time. A young, healthy RPE operates flawlessly, displaying super-efficient repair, complete degradation of discarded discs, and robust antioxidant defenses. But over decades of relentless light exposure and daily cellular digestion, the aging RPE takes a profound beating. Its protective mechanisms weaken under massive oxidative stress, and worse, incomplete digestion of that cellular trash leads to the progressive buildup of a toxic leftover material called lipofuscin inside the RPE cells. Basically, the microscopic city's sanitation department just gets totally overwhelmed.
When the RPE finally begins to fail under all that stress, we reach a catastrophic climax: age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. It's a leading cause of severe vision loss. First, extracellular deposits of uncleared waste called drusen build up beneath the cells. As the microenvironment gets more and more toxic, the RPE cells themselves degenerate and die. In advanced dry AMD, this presents as geographic atrophy, literal dead zones where large areas of RPE have completely perished, leading directly to secondary photoreceptor death and permanent blind spots. In wet AMD, the failing RPE allows abnormal blood vessels to grow, leak fluid, and cause massive retinal scarring. The takeaway here: when the RPE goes down, the photoreceptors go down with it. And unfortunately, AMD isn't the only threat linked to this specific tissue. Progressive retinal dystrophies like central serous chorioretinopathy, which happens when that fluid pump fails, or inherited conditions like Stargardt's disease, retinitis pigmentosa, and pattern dystrophies are all closely tied to the RPE. In all of these devastating clinical disorders, the fundamental dysfunction of the RPE either acts as the initial pathological spark, or it severely accelerates the degeneration of the surrounding retina. But hey, this isn't just a story about degeneration. It's also a story of immense hope. Because we now deeply understand just how absolutely crucial the RPE is, modern science is actively racing to restore its function. The clinical goal is actually remarkably clear. If we can rescue or replace this microscopic tissue before the dependent photoreceptors permanently die, we can halt or maybe even entirely prevent irreversible vision loss. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredible cutting-edge approach researchers are taking to achieve that goal. We're looking at stem cell-derived RPE transplantation, literally growing a fresh, young monolayer of RPE cells in a lab and surgically implanting it to replace the dying ones. We're seeing major clinical trials in gene therapy aimed at correcting inherited genetic defects, broad regenerative medicine approaches, and get this, even artificial retinal support systems designed to precisely mimic the barrier and pumping functions of the tissue. Science is actively trying to rebuild this microscopic border wall from the ground up.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Will regenerative medicine soon make irreversible vision loss a thing of the past? By unlocking the secrets of the retinal pigment epithelium, the eye's ultimate multitasking hero, we're closer than ever to answering that question with a resounding yes. It is just a massive testament to how understanding one microscopic layer of cells can change the way we see the world, quite literally. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes open for more wonders of human biology.